Welcome back. The Justice Department is giving the okay to one of the special master candidates chosen by President Trump. If approved, former Judge Raymond Dearie of New York's Eastern District would be in charge of determining which documents seized from the president's Florida home last month should be shielded from federal prosecutors. Joining me right now is Utah Congressman and member of the House Intel and Appropriations Committees, Chris Stewart. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. And I'd like to start there because Dearie is one of the 5 judges who signed off on FISA warrants to surveil former Trump advisor Carter Page during the whole Russia collusion lie.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate to me that out of the what, dozens or hundreds of potential candidates that they ended up with this individual. But, you know, I think the bigger point to this is, why in the world would the Justice Department object to appointing a special master? I mean, for heaven's sakes, you had a 30-hour raid, dozens of agents. They had a warrant so broad that they literally could take nearly anything, including some of the former First Lady's personal items of clothing. They ended up taking his passports and denying it, by the way, and then quietly returning it. I mean, the Department of Justice and the FBI desperately need to try to reclaim some trust from the American people. And it seems a good way to do that would be to say, yeah, sure, appoint a special master. We don't have anything to hide. We want to be fair and open and transparent about this. And instead, the department continues to add to this fuel, to this fire, that they're trying to hide something. They're trying to do something overtly political, and hopefully people won't notice that.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, actually, and that is why the American people have lost trust in the FBI. Not just the Russia collusion lie, but sitting on Hunter Biden's laptop, making believe it wasn't true, that there was evidence of influence peddling. The list is long, an impeachment trial on Trump, and then this raid. Meanwhile, President Biden is set to hold a big event today at the White House. He wants to celebrate his massive spending agenda. He's going to do that later this afternoon as a new report from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says that Biden's student loan bailout will cost roughly $500 billion over 10 years. There are others who say it's going to be close to $1 trillion. Obviously, that wipes out any 10-year deficit reduction. It was $238 billion of 10-year deficit reduction from this act, more than 2 times over, Congressman. So what are they celebrating?
Oh my gosh, Mayor, there's so much to say on this. I mean, in your lead-in, you call this tone deaf. You know, kind of like last week's blood red speech to America saying, you should hate the other half of America. They're all fascists. They all hate the Constitution. Yeah, that was a little tone deaf as well. But I mean, here's the irony of this. They're trying to convince the American people, inflation isn't as bad as it appears to be. Because number one, if it was measured by the same way we measured it all through even up through the early 1990s, it's not 8.5%, it's really 15%. And the American people see that. They're the ones who go to the grocery store and buy milk. I don't think President Biden cares that much about the price of milk. The rest of us do. And the second thing, they try to convince the American people, well, here's a problem with inflation, but the answer is if we spend another $1 trillion or another $2 trillion, that's going to help. And the American people aren't stupid. They know that that's the problem, not the solution. And for them to have this victory lap over something that's so ridiculously named, they even had to change the name of it. I just don't think it carries water.
Well, it's also going to mean higher taxes for many groups. American families already dealing with higher borrowing rates as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates. Now you're talking about another pressure of higher taxes. I'm glad you mentioned the inflation of the things we buy, because you're right. The CPI is up 8.5% year over year. But when you look at the things that are important to American families, a dozen eggs up 38%, coffee up 20%. These are the things that people are buying. Fish up 9%. And it's much higher than the 8.5% reading. So the question becomes, what can you do about it? You're an elected official. If Republicans take the majority in November, what can you do about it? What's the agenda? And also, what is your agenda for congressional investigations? People have seen corruption in plain sight with all of this.
Yeah, well, and let me talk about the agenda. Before I do, Mary, can I make this point? And that is, everything you talked about, higher interest rates, inflation, higher taxes, they all hurt working Americans the most. They all hurt the most vulnerable among us, has greatest impact on them. If you're a rich person living in New York and getting picked up in your SUV every day, again, you don't care that much about it. The rest of us do. So now the question is, well, what is the agenda? Well, here's an agenda item: quit spending as much money. And that's what one of the things the Republicans are going to have to do as we take the House in the fall, and hopefully the Senate, by the way, as a sidebar for the media to create this narrative that there's no hope and there's this blue wave rising. I think that's absurd. And I think the data bears that out. We're going to take the House. I'm confident of that. And we have to be responsible. We have to compel spending cuts. And to your point as well, we do have to investigate these things that the Department of Justice apparently doesn't want to investigate. Hunter Biden's laptop, the southern border, Afghanistan, all of those things are going to be under review in the next Congress.
All right, Congressman, we're going to be watching all of that. We so appreciate your time. I know Kevin McCarthy is readying to come out with your commitment to America, and we'll be watching for more details on what that agenda looks like. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you.